Hi, welcome to day 4. So today I'm going to segue a little bit here and put on my finance hat and talk a little bit more in detail about 4 key areas you should be examining daily, or if not monthly, with your business. Probably monthly when you look at your monthly statements. And then hopefully you have a look back period that you can compare these to. And from the two, extrapolate to see where you are, and an average, or estimate where this is going. So the first area you need to keeping your eye on all the time is liquidity. Now, liquidity is just, by definition, it's the ability of a company to meet its short-term obligations. So we look at this as how much assets you have, and liquid assets. It's your checkings, your operating account, your payroll account, savings in the business. And are these sufficient to cover short-term debt obligations, your accounts payable, your bill payments, short-term loans that are payable in 1 year or less? The second component you need to keep your eye on is leverage. Leverage, by definition, is the proportion of owners' and non-owners' money used by a company to support its assets. So this is, invest what you have put into the business, as well as bank loans that you've taken out, or maybe partners have contributed to fund the business. And how high is this number going every month? This also resides. These first 2 items live on the balance sheet. The third component, of course, is profitability. Now, I'm talking about, here's the definition, and I'll break this down for you. The definition is the ability of a company to generate more revenues than the expenses required to produce them by converting its assets into assets of higher value. So that's a mouthful, but it boils down to your net profit margins, and how are you keeping these in line with your peers, with your goals, and at the same time, are you using your funds wisely? Are you reinvesting? If you've got a 15% profit margin, you're not reinvesting in the company. So are you reinvest? In other words, that's great to have that. It looks really good. But let's break that down. If it should be closer to a lower margin, and the trade-off is to build up the assets, like buying some capital equipment to get the next, I don't do construction, but I'm imagining, to do the next construction job. Or is there another capital asset you can buy? Maybe it's a new fleet van that you're looking to buy to enhance the HVAC services that you're providing. Or maybe it's just taking those old HVAC vans and upgrading them, buying new ones this year with that additional profit. That's what I'm talking about, because in the end, and a lot of business owners get shocked by this, especially when they're selling their businesses. The investors are looking at an ROI and an ROE. I'll get to those in another video. And those rely on the balance sheet, which how much is actually growth, actual physical assets, not the intangibles, but items that you can put good value on. Because in the end, when you want to sell your business, you want to sell something, you want to sell the customer base, but you're also selling assets. And I think this one gets overlooked a lot. It's important to keep investing in the company. So I talked about liquidity, leverage, profitability. The last one is cash flow. This is probably the most complicated, but it's also the most important to understand. Let me read you a definition. It's the ability of a company to generate cash from earnings, financing, and investing activities to satisfy needs and obligations. And so you're familiar with those three terms. When you pull up your statement of cash flows, the first one that you see is the, cash from earnings. My eyes always drop to this one first to see that, yep, earnings from operations covers work during that month. And if it's in the black, we're doing good. I go right to that first. Financing, investing, it's also looking at just what we talked about. Did you take on additional, this is where a lot of people give leverage a bad rap. And I'm not an economist, but we can look at different times. There are times where it is warranted to take on additional loans if interest rate is sufficient enough, especially in times when it's just you're on the hook with all of your receivables. That's how you're getting many of your goods through the door, especially if you do business with government contractors and you're not getting paid for 90 days, 60 days, you're floating that. That is impairing your cash flow. And so by examining these four, I call them risk and safety judgments. These are four main components of a solid company. And you always want to get it as close to an A rating as you can on this, because these are what's going to make you or break you when the hard times come. And guys, there's a lot of hard things going on in the world right now. We want our businesses to thrive, not just survive these bad times. So I hope that helps. That was just a basic overview. Start looking at your four risk and safety judgments today, or DM me and I can have a conversation with you. We'll talk soon.